Part 43. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 421. Chen Ten came to the yard rented by Guyao and Qi Changjai again with a complicated expression. After asking Guyao a few questions, Chen Mu gritted his teeth and said, "Alchemist Gu, I don't know if I should say something. Just like my nephew, the more contact with Guyao, the more I admire this person. Not to mention that the alchemy technique is superb, he is not pretentious, and his mind is very open. With Guyao's guidance, she has recently improved in alchemy, so that others envious." Guyao stopped the movement in his hand and looked over. Thinking of what she heard in Giwan Pavilion, she had to come over and remind her. Chen Chan said, "Master Gu, I'm worried that senior sister Wang's master will be bad for you, because there are rumors recently that senior sister Wang's alchemy has exploded several times. This is rare in the past, it happened after you fought with the ancient alchemist. If senior sister Huang can't get past this level, the alchemy might even drop. Uncle Kui has always been very protective of her. She has always loved senior sister Huang so much. She can't just sit and watch senior sister Huang fall into such a state." Chen Chan thought about this Uncle Kui's temperament in private. Senior sister Huang couldn't come out on her own, so Uncle Kui probably started from Alchemist Gu in order to help her. Qi Changjai walked in from the outside with a whole body of coldness, and asked, "Is the unfavorable voice of Xiaoao in Giwan Pavilion getting louder and louder now? Is it that Alchemist Kui has already started from behind?" Chen Chan swallowed dryly. Guyao was gentle, and Qi Changjai was intimidating. It was stressful to talk to this swordsman, and he didn't know how his nephew made friends with them, and he was even bothered and didn't let him go. Regardless of. "Yes, I have heard several times that the disciples in the pavilion privately talked about how arrogant the ancient alchemist was, and they did not even care about Giwan Pavilion, and they were unwilling to become a disciple of Giwan Pavilion, saying that the ancient alchemist came here not only to step on senior sister Huang, I have to step on the entire Giwan Pavilion under my feet. By the way, I also heard that there are also people in the Tianyang sect looking for the whereabouts of the ancient alchemist and the senior Qi recently. It seems that a disciple of the Tianyang sect came to our Biwangjinj, but don't worry, Biwang City is not a place where Tianyang sect disciples can be arrogant. Even if their sect master comes, they have to abide by the rules here." Speaking of this, she felt even more regretful. The reason why she got into Tianyang sect was not because of her nephew. Although she was a disciple of Giwan Pavilion, she did not stand with them at this time. If she hadn't been in contact with Guyao all this time, she might have been influenced by the opinions in the cabinet, and felt that Guyao was a very arrogant person, but she knew how peaceful this person was, and she was really addicted to alchemy. "People, this point seems to be somewhat similar to the pavilion master." Qi Changjai said, "Thank you for reminding Dao Chen." Chen Chan hurriedly said, "It's nothing, you are more helpful to me and Chen Sheng." Chen Chan said goodbye and left, and Qi Changjai sat down beside Guyao. Guyao has been patronizing alchemy and Shen Man in alchemy for the past few days, but he has been paying attention to the situation outside, and he did not unilaterally think that Qi Shaha was dead. After that, the crisis between him and Guyao was completely resolved, and no one could guarantee that the Tianyang sect would not pursue it. Looking at Qi Changjai's face, Guyao asked if the matter was serious. Qi Changjai nodded and said, "I asked Luo Xiao and the others to go outside to inquire about the news, and I did find traces of Tianyang sect disciples. It seems that Tianyang sect can't give up. Maybe they take the Tianyang body too seriously, even if there is no evidence that it is our hand, and we may not want to miss it." Guyao thought of Chen Chan's reminder and asked if the current situation of Giwan Pavilion is related to this matter. Qi Changjai, "I can't be sure, but now that the wind has suddenly changed, it's impossible to say that no one is behind it. As for who controlled it, Qi Changjai didn't even hesitate. What came to mind was Master Huang Ruyu's look at Gu Yao when he was about to leave. He dared to say that this matter definitely has something to do with her, especially now that he heard Huang Ruyu's mentality is out of balance. This person is only afraid that from the beginning of anger to want to get rid of it, it will be soon. Then what do we do now? Qi Changjai patted Gu Yao's hand and said, wait and see, even if you want to leave, you have to be fully prepared. Qi Changjai must plan for the worst. If Tianyang Sek sent a cultivator, he would be sure to let himself and Gu Yao leave calmly, but what if it was not a cultivator, but a fit cultivator? He can't take it by chance. Gu Yao nodded obediently. What's the matter, you have to tell me. Qi Changjai smiled, of course. When Gu Yao went to the alchemy square, he also felt such an atmosphere. This is not the place where Giwen Pavilion disciples are in the majority, but it has increased a lot of hostility, because Giwen Pavilion has provided many alchemy masters. Convenient, when someone wants to step on the entire Giwen Pavilion, how can they not be angry? It's him. It doesn't look like a big deal. Don't come to Giwen Pavilion if you are so talented. Go out and open the door yourself. Follow, be careful to let others hear it, and take you to Do Dantai. He said he would fight. Che, I don't want him to force me to fail. This is the territory of Giwen Pavilion. Master Huang Dan has taught us a lesson across the square. What a good person, Dan. Master Huang is actually being trampled on like this. That's right, when I listened to Master Wang's class that time, I obviously felt that the diameter of the pill bottle was loosened. I most hope that in the next assessment, I will have the opportunity to enter Giwen Pavilion, so that I will be getting closer and closer to the Master Huang. But now, damn. The whispers kept coming into Gu Yao's ears. Gu Yao was not angry when he heard it, but felt very funny. I don't know who came out with these words. Instead, he took the initiative to go to Do Dantai to fight Huang Ruyu and step on Giwen Pavilion. He has become very famous recently. Seeing him coming over, everyone seems to be afraid of falling in with him, so he quickly avoided his eyes. If it wasn't for Gu Yao's cultivation base, it would be even worse. There are even lower cultivation bases. When Gu Yao went to buy the spirit grass on the street where he bought the blood crystal grass, he ran into trouble again. Some of the spirit grass placed outside actually said that there was no more in stock. He wanted the spirit grass to wait for the next batch. When is it time? Pending. After hitting a wall several times, Gu Yao also realized that it was not that the stock was gone, but that the store was unwilling to sell it to him and did not want to do business with him, so Gu Yao left very consciously. Treasurer, is it really good to do this? That's a fourth-grade alchemist. Didn't the shopkeeper want to find a way to ask for pills and get a few top-grade pills a few days ago? After leaving, asked the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper tugged at his hair with a headache. What can I do? I know that alchemist Gu can't afford to offend him, but that one can't afford to offend him even more. What else do you think I can do? Go against that one. The guy didn't say a word. With two choices in front of him, he might be the same as the shopkeeper, but he still muttered, I think this ancient alchemist has a good temper. It's not like what the outside said, it's obvious that it's us. I don't want to sell it to him, and I'm not angry with us. Where does the shopkeeper know? Yeah, it's a pity. In fact, people with discerning eyes know what's going on. The story of what happened on their street that day has long been spread. It's really no wonder the ancient alchemist, and if you really want to blame it, you have to blame the ancient alchemist for his superb alchemy skills, but no way, who made this place belong to Giwen Pavilion, alchemist Kui. The right to speak is much greater than that of Gu Yao. Fewer people came to ask for pills. Obviously everyone heard the words from the Giwen Pavilion. Whether they offended Gu Yao alone or offended the entire Giwen Pavilion, everyone knew which was more important. After all, what they valued was the Giwen Pavilion. The second-rank alchemist pavilion master. There are fewer people asking for alchemy, and Guyao is also much quieter. Fortunately, he is not short of spiritual grass to practice his hands. Before the people who ask for alchemy stop, he has earned a lot of spiritual stones. In Giwan Pavilion, the other third-grade alchemists met again and looked at each other. We really want to let this go on and let junior sister Kui persecute Gu alchemist like this. To be honest, what they advocate is fair competition, and they are very disgusted with this kind of malicious suppression. Although there has never been a lack of this, but it happened right under their noses, and in their opinion, it also damaged the reputation of Giwan Pavilion. If you want me to tell me, Alchemist Gu's temperament is already very good, and he is still very calm. What they didn't say is that this alone is much better than Huang Ruyu. They didn't expect Huang Ruyu's shortcomings to be exposed. It will come out so big. What did the pavilion master say? Sister Kui has passed this time. I am worried that junior sister Kui will be hated by the pavilion owner. Although the pavilion owner has a good temperament, he is not immune to anger. For the pavilion owner, this is Giwan. The pavilion is the most important, and the alchemist can be retrained. How can others ruin the reputation of Giwan Pavilion? They went to see the pavilion master again, but were told that the pavilion owner was in retreat. What could be done now? Qi Changjai, who is ready, will not delay any longer. Since everyone expects them to leave Biwangqing early, they will do as these people want. The two were mixed in the flow of people out of the city, and they looked no different from other monks. Su Chen in the space could feel their mood, and asked worriedly, I really don't need to take action. Qi Changjai said with a blank expression, Senior doesn't take action, we are just being chased and killed in the barren state. As soon as Senior takes action, maybe we will be chased and killed by people in the spirit world. Su Chen had a mouthful of old blood stuck in his throat. Guyao snickered and comforted Su Chen, brother Ye is joking, maybe you need the help of the seniors, anyway, it's important to get over the current one first, and then talk about the future. That's right. Su Chen raised his chest again, these two boys outside are destined to be inseparable from him. Do you really think that the spiritual world is those low-level continents in the past? There are countless masters here, and he is waiting for Qi Changjai to beg him. The two flowed out of the city with others, picked a direction and flew out. Although there was no problem after flying for a long time, the two of them could not take it lightly. Suddenly, a tyrannical consciousness rolled over the aircraft recklessly. With a boom, the aircraft exploded in mid-air. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 422. Huang Ruyu was restless. She didn't practice her pills, she didn't read books, she always felt that something was going to happen. Her master came in from the outside, and saw the apprentice's appearance with soft eyes. Ruyu, don't have to worry, the matter will be resolved soon. Master, you. Huang Ruyu bit her lip, wondering if she should ask. Alchemy Kui turned to look out the window, his eyes flashed with sternness. After today, the obstacles in front of you will no longer exist, you are still the original Ruyu, and you are still the pride of Master and Giwan Pavilion. Ruyu, Master told you, monks, must not be merciful, not to mention that they have offended people who should not have offended themselves, and others want them to die, so being a teacher is just pushing the boat. Sure enough, Huang Ruyu's expectations came true. She knew that she shouldn't think like this, but as long as she thought of being horribly set off by Guyao on the Dan-do platform, she couldn't help but think, it would be great if this person didn't show up. Why did such a person appear in front of her? She knew it was dangerous to think like this, but when she heard her master say this, she felt a surge of excitement in her heart. Only those who survived were the winners, otherwise, what was the use of being a genius? She is the one who survives now, and she has enough time to bridge the gap. At this time, a person quietly came to the door of their room, and the moment he appeared, Alchemist Kui was alarmed. He stretched out his hand and waved the door, and looked at the people outside in surprise. How come the second senior brother has time to come here? It was not someone else who came here, but the second disciple of Pavilion Master Wen. He did not inherit his master's excellent talent in alchemy, but he did an excellent job in managing Giwen Pavilion and even the entire Biwang city. Neither the city lord of Biwangchinj nor the disciples of Giwen Pavilion dared to disrespect him. The visitor's face was cold, and his eyes did not have the warmth of the past. He announced, "I will convey the master's order. From now on, Kui Yi will be deprived of his status as a disciple of Giwen Pavilion. Kui Danchi, please." As if struck by lightning, Kui Yi did not dare to believe. What? I don't believe it. I want to see the pavilion master, and I have to personally obey the pavilion's orders. Huang Ruyu slumped to the ground at once, and the joy had long since disappeared, replaced by endless fear, and the dark side of her heart was discovered. There was ridicule in the eyes of the visitor. Master is out of the city now, maybe he is dealing with someone now. Kui Yi was so shocked that her eyes turned black, so what she did was seen by the pavilion master one by one, including her secret contact with the elders of Tianyangzong, otherwise why would she rush to the city at this time? Outside. She was lucky before, the pavilion owner did not release the news that he would accept the kid into the pavilion. She thought that the pavilion owner would not take that kid too much, or that the kid did not take the initiative to ask to join the Giwen pavilion, which made the pavilion owner disagree. She was happy, but it turned out that the pavilion master paid more attention to that kid than she expected, even to the point where Buxuan and Tianyangzong turned against him. Why? Could it be that I, Kui Yi, have not contributed enough to Giwen pavilion over the years? Expel me from the pavilion just for the sake of an unknown outsider? I'm not convinced. She didn't dare to think about how serious the consequences of being delisted from Giwen pavilion would be. She never thought that the pavilion owner would be so ruthless and ruthless. Isn't this Giwen pavilion the biggest confidence she relies on? She thought that even if she was exposed, with those senior brothers and sisters around, she would not be punished much. Now the city lord is sending the order in person. If Alchemist Kui is unwilling, the next time the penalty team will come to him. Kui Yishin vomited a mouthful of blood, and stunned a lot in an instant. When the penalty team came, she was about to be escorted away in front of many disciples in Giwen Pavilion. She couldn't afford to lose face. Angrily, "Okay, I'll go." "Master." Huang Ruyu knelt down and crawled over to hug Master's leg. "Master, what about me?" Kui Yi said with a miserable smile, "Ruyu, let's go with your teacher. You won't have a bright future if you stay here. Kui Yi, don't believe it. If we leave Giwen Pavilion, our master and apprentice will not have a bright future. Let's go, our master and apprentice will have a good time with your excellency Giwen." "Okay, master, let's go." After Huang Ruyu's master and apprentice left, other third-grade alchemists came out one after another. They really thought that the pavilion master ignored this matter. How did they know that it would develop to this level? Senior brother asked, "Second junior brother, junior sister, is she really colluding with the Tianyang sect elder to deal with Guyao?" Second junior brother, "That's right, otherwise what do you think she used to force alchemy master Guyao out of the city?" "Don't worry, master and senior Zhone have already rushed over, so they won't let each other succeed. Master loves talents, even if they can't. Accepting as a disciple will not let the other party die easily. Master thinks that the world of alchemist Guyao is outside the barren state, not Giwen Pavilion, but Giwen Pavilion can form a good relationship." It turns out that they thought it all too simplistic, but they didn't expect the junior sister to come this far. Now that she has ended up with this ending, several people couldn't bear it, but no one dared to disobey the order of the pavilion master. "I just hope that the junior sister has a day can see and walk out." The aircraft in mid-air was unbearable, and it was blasted to pieces. Then, An old man with white hair and beard stepped out of the void, looking at the aircraft that exploded into a ball in the air with gloomy eyes. How could he let go of this murderous revenge? The Tianyang body is so rare, he has no time to look for a second one. These two and the Chen family kid ruined his years of painstaking efforts. How could he tolerate it? To have them live in this world? No. The old man suddenly raised his eyebrows, waved his sleeves and brushed away the broken objects that exploded in mid-air. It was clear that his consciousness was staring at the two figures before, watching them explode into pieces, but now his consciousness scanned it again and said the monk's flesh and blood were not found, and he was deceived. In the end, the old man pulled out two dead bugs from the pile of debris. The bugs clearly carried the breath of the two monks. The spiritual energy around him exploded, and the trees and stones in the square garden were smashed into pieces. The two must not have run far away. The old man quickly let go of his deep consciousness, trying to find them, but found a suspicious place to rush over, and suddenly two figures blocked in front of him one after the other. The old man's pupils shrank suddenly, and he said sternly, "Get out of the way." The old man is not willing to embarrass Giwan Pavilion, but today I don't want to let the old man let go of those two arrogant boys. But Pavilion Master Wen said unhurriedly, "I'll keep you safe." The cultivator Zhong raised his eyebrows even more and said, "I ran to the Giwan Pavilion and started to do it. Giwan Pavilion can't control it. Why don't I go to the Tianyang sect's boundary next time?" Although they have left the city, no matter how far they are from the city, they are still protected by the Giwan Pavilion, so their reasons for taking action are fair and just. The old man was furious and slapped the two of them with a wave of his palms. Pavilion Master Wen and Cultivator Zhong attacked at the same time, but unexpectedly this was just a pretense of the old man, and the figure disappeared in front of them in a flash. The Cultivator Zhong was furious. People really wanted to go wrong under their noses. There was no need for Giwan Pavilion to exist. The two turned around and chased after them. The old man didn't want to entangle with Pavilion Master Wen at all. He just wanted to kill those two bastards. When they died, he would make amends to Giwan Pavilion in the name of Tianyang Section Loose Cultivator. Will Giwan Pavilion and Tianyang Sect fight against each other? In the end it was nothing more than nothing. But no matter how well he thought about it, he was still a step too late. He watched his target person helplessly, wrapped in a light mask, stepped into the crack in space, and then completely disappeared in this place. When the old man arrived, the cracks in the space were closed, leaving no trace. The cracking talisman, the old man was trembling with anger. Where did they get the crackling talisman? Did you give it? Pavilion Master Wen and Cultivator Zhong also looked at each other in surprise. They didn't know about it. Of course, their knowledge was limited. Only their superficial experience after they came to the spiritual world. What kind of protection did they have? How do you know what is in the body? But seeing that the old guy was going crazy, the two were happy, and they were able to get the air-splitting talisman and escaped calmly, which was enough to show that the two little guys had good luck. They blocked the old guy for a while, which was considered to help them. After everyone left, Pavilion Master Wen is no longer polite to the old guy. "Did we give it, and what does it have to do with your excellency?" Instead, this pavilion mainly inquired about Tianyang sect master in person, and Tianyang sect intervened in Giwan Pavilion. "What's the point? Let's go." "Okay." Pavilion Master Xiu glanced at the old man with a smile, and followed Pavilion Master Wen back to the city. The old man was really mad, and once again set off a storm of spiritual energy in the same place. The movement of the three people outside the city still spread. They did not avoid people's eyes. Although they did not dare to approach, they could still identify the identity of the people who did it from a distance, so there was a lot of movement in the city and Giwan Pavilion. In the end, the disappearance of Kuiyi's master and apprentice in Giwan Pavilion also spread secretly. which made the monks and shops who stood on Kuiyi's side to embarrass Guyao in secret, worried. How could they really think that Kuiyi was covering the sky in Giwan Pavilion? Why did Kuiyi leave? It was only ordered by the pavilion master himself, and alchemist Guyao did not make the pavilion master unhappy as they said before. It's just that they couldn't find Guyao and Qi Changjai at all. Chen Chen and Chen Sheng's aunts and nephews were even more shocked. Chen Chen couldn't believe that Kuiyi and his apprentice left just like that. Their cabinet disciples knew that Kuiyi was removed from the list, so there was no living space in the entire Biwang city. She was far from expecting Pavilion Master Jing to make such a big move. Chen Sheng's focus is not the same. Fortunately, they were not caught, and they should leave the barren state safely. The Pavilion Master personally took action, which was more secure in terms of safety, and then sighed, I don't know when I will be able to do it next time. Bye now. By the way, Auntie, I have something for you, Auntie. Now it's just right for you, and I'm going to retreat. Chen Sheng took out the second-grade golden lotus seed that he kept for Auntie, which he took out before. I was worried that it would be exposed and cause trouble to Guyao and the others, but now is the right time. Chen Chan's eyes widened. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 423. Qi Changjai rolled out of the space with Guyao in his arms when he heard an exclamation not far away. The two quickly entered a defensive battle state, vigilant about the surroundings. The foothold of this air-splitting talisman is random, and there is no guarantee that the landing place is safe, so they must first figure out where it fell, and it was clearly discovered. In just a blink of an eye, the two discovered that they had actually fallen into an extremely ordinary yard, and unfortunately, someone happened to be in the yard, and they watched helplessly as a black space crack appeared in the yard, and then the crack get out of two people. Master, what's the matter? What happened? A middle-aged cultivator heard the voice and rushed out of the room, seeing the two strangers who suddenly appeared, quickly protecting his young master behind him, and roaring alertly, where did you come from? Isn't it enough to force the young master to such a place? You still want to kill them all? Guyao blinked and glanced at Qi Changjai. Did this cultivator make a mistake? The teenager in the back understood what the middle-aged monk meant, and quickly stuck his head out from behind him. Uncle Li, you are mistaken, they fell out of the crack in space, not from outside. I saw it with my own eyes. It should have nothing to do with that side. Uncle Li still can't underestimate the enemy. Who knows that the people who appear are ghosts? Will they kill them just because they see them? Guyao put on a gentle smile and said, we used the space-splitting talisman to run over. I don't know where we went. We happened to meet two fellow deists. Can't I ask you about the situation here? I found out that this is actually a market town, and the house is very remote, so I added, can we borrow it for a while? We can pay for Lingxi. The boy's eyes showed curiosity, and the middle-aged man was much more wary. He asked, where did you come from? Barren State. Guyao didn't hide it. Is this still the boundary of the Barren State or another state? The middle-aged man's eyes also showed a strange look, and he felt that the other party didn't need to deceive them on this point. This is Dongzhou, and Dongzhou and Huangzhou are separated by a state. Guyao and Qi Changjai were also surprised. They didn't expect that the effect of this air-splitting talisman would be so great that it would actually allow them to straddle the distance of a state. As for where the sky-splitting talisman came from, this was a private transaction between Guyao and Qi Changjai and a merchant. At that time, although Kuiyi spoke out on the surface, it was impossible to monitor all the actions of the merchant. Those merchants from other states are even less constrained by it, but Guyao and the others paid a great price for this air-splitting talisman. However, the movement caused by the opening of the air-splitting talisman is not small. In order to ensure that in case of emergency, Guyao also temporarily created two substitute Gus, fed them with the blood of the two, and simulated their breaths exactly the same, and controlled them remotely. Enough to obscure the opponent's sight, and they seized the gap to start the air splitter and run away. It's simple to say, but it's thrilling when they do it. When they activated the air splitter, they saw that two monks stopped another old man, bought them a critical time, and successfully escaped. At that moment, the divine consciousness rolled over, and it is still horrifying to think about it now. Although they have practiced the virtual, the distance between them and the fit is still far away. The situation is stronger than people. The owner of this house had to agree to Guyao and Qi Changjai to stay and arrange a room for them. Staying in the room, Guyao said with lingering fears, the two monks who appeared are Pavilion Master Wen of Giwen Pavilion and Senior Zhone beside him. Qi Changjai nodded, it should be, no matter what the other party is for, we have all received their kindness now. Saying that you want to repay others will sound like a joke. After all, the strength and status are very different, but it does not prevent them from keeping it in their hearts. Guyao nodded. He also had clear grievances. Alchemy Kui's suppression of them was the matter of Alchemy Kui, and it did not affect his goodwill towards Giwen Pavilion as a whole. There is a popular saying in the secular world, eat one kind of rice and feed 100 kinds of people. In another room, young people and middle-aged people are also talking. Master, these two strangers, young masters, cannot be completely trusted. Young master, don't forget our current situation. There are still people watching us in the town, the middle-aged monk urged. Uncle Li, it's me who dragged Uncle Li down, but unfortunately I'm too weak to go back and settle accounts with them. The young man clenched his fists tightly. The middle-aged man was shrewd. Actually, their presence is not useless, young master, can we use them? No, the young man hurriedly interrupted the middle-aged man, they just came here by accident. How can we drag the innocent into the vortex of right and wrong? Uncle Li, I can't agree. The middle-aged man sighed and did not continue to insist, but the anger of the two people should be the cultivator of the imaginary. For the young master, even if it can be used, it can only solve the problem for a while, but cannot save it for a lifetime. Although Uncle Li agreed, there was a flash of shrewdness in his eyes. As long as these two people lived in their yard, they didn't need to say anything, and those who stared at them would also pay attention to the two monks, thinking it was him and him. Master's help. Guyao and Qi Changjai stayed here for the time being, to find out the situation here before making plans. When they were in Biwangqinj, they had some maps of neighboring states, but they didn't expect it to be of no use at all. Here in Dongzhou, they is clueless. They learned that the young man's surname was Bai and his name was Yun, and the middle-aged man was his father's guardian. So the conditions are worse in all aspects. When Guyao and Qi Changjai were talking about going around the town, Bai Yun had a hesitant expression on his face, while Uncle Li sent them to the door in a very good-natured manner, and pointed them to two good places in the town. The exact opposite of last night's attitude. When they were far away, Guyao curiously asked, Brother Ye, what do you think they are doing? Qi Changjai touched his chin, I have a hunch that we might get into some trouble again. He was also helpless. He was completely implicated by Chen Sheng when he was in the barren state. Otherwise, where would they be in trouble with the Tianyang sect? He was chased and killed by the integrated cultivators and was sent to Dongzhou. When I first came here, I felt that although this young man named Bai Yun didn't look complicated, the things behind him were probably not simple. His expression and the change in Uncle Li's attitude before and after had already been revealed. But this is troublesome, it depends on how you look at it. He and Guyao were involved in the vortex of right and wrong in the double star business, and that's why they got the key to the secret realm of the absolute pool on the way to escape. Because they wanted to get rid of Qi Shaha's line, they entered a sea of injustices, a second-grade golden lotus, etc. Dangers are often accompanied by opportunities. Now, it should be mutual use with the other party. Gu Yao laughed. What Uncle Li said when they first came, revealed enough information, but, I hope their opponents will not be too strong, otherwise there will be no space to use this time. Chi Changjai also felt regretful. After he got the air-splitting talisman, he studied it carefully, but firstly, the other party's secret methods were excellent, and secondly, it is also difficult for him to comprehend the things involved in this air-splitting talisman. Otherwise, if he can make the air-splitting talisman, he will have a little more protection. I suspect that you really got into big trouble this time. Su Chen's voice suddenly sounded in their minds. Gu Yao's footsteps paused, and he walked forward as if nothing had happened, but his divine sense talked to Su Chen. Senior, what's the matter? Does the senior know someone related to them? The young man is really young, so it is impossible for the seniors to know him, only the power behind the young man. Uncle Li does not mean that they were brought here, and some people want to kill them? Chi Changjai couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. The young man was only a nascent soul cultivator. Of course, it was because he was too young, and the bone age was not more than 10 years old. Su Chen could only know the ancestors of the young man. It seems that the trouble this time is really more than the one in the barren state. The monks and forces that Su Chen can know can't be ordinary characters. At this moment, after they came out of that house, they had several spiritual senses. If it seems to be looking at them, it is already staring at them. Su Chen sighed, and his mood seemed to be more complicated. The Bai family is a big family, and there should be no one who doesn't know about the Bai family in Dongzhou. Of course, these years have passed, and I don't know what's going on now. The reason why the Bai family is it's a big family, because the Bai family once had an ancestor, and his status as a Taoist companion is rather special, not a human cultivator but a demon cultivator. Gu Yao was surprised. The Bai family is a mixed descendant of human and demon cultivator? Bai Yun too. Su Chen explained, not all, only the descendant of that ancestor is a human-monster hybrid, and his Taoist companion is a very powerful monster Bai Bingqi, so the descendants of this clan continue to the ancestor's blood to some extent, but it may also be that the bloodline is too strong, so it is difficult for this clan to reproduce, and the number of people has always been small. Although Bai Yun was sealed, the breath of the bloodline was sealed, but I noticed it. I received the favor of a member of the Bai clan back then. I didn't expect that when I came back to the spiritual world, I would meet the descendants of the Bai clan first. He was sent here and was stared at everywhere. It seems that the Bai clan is not the same as before. Chi Changjai has a question. As the seniors expected, if the Bai clan has changed, why didn't this clan be eradicated? Su Chen sneered and said, do you think things are so simple? Since the ancestor of the Bai family is Bai Bingqi, do you think there will be no contact between the Bai family and the demon cultivator these years? If the blood of this clan is completely cut off. Not to mention whether the Yaoxio side will find the Bai family, even the Bai family members must be reluctant to give up the benefits of the Yaoxio side. Then why don't you go to Yaoshiu? Chi Changjai continued to ask. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 424. Su Chen was about to say how could he possibly know so clearly, even what happened to the Bai family, how to answer Gu Yao's question. Chi Changjai continued on the side, maybe it's not a question of whether they want to go or not, but whether they have the ability to do it. A descendant who is out of control has more disadvantages than complete control in his own hands. Su Chen swallowed the words he wanted to speak. In his eyes, Chi Changjai was sometimes not like a sword cultivator, his stomach was full of twists and turns. In comparison, it was their sword named Yan Yu Enjing. Xiu friends are more in line with the sword Xiu standard. Chi Changjai didn't know Su Chen's slander, and asked again, Senior suddenly told us about this, do you want us to help Senior find out what happened to the Bai family? Or help this descendant of the Bai family? Su Chen has said that he has received the favor of the ancestors of the Bai family, and now that he encounters the descendants of the Bai family who are in distress, it is definitely impossible for him to just watch and do nothing, but in his current state, it is difficult to do anything. But if you want to let him and Guyao, the two juniors, do it, it is probably difficult to speak. Chi Changjai thought about it for a while and then sorted out Su Chen's psychological activities. If Su Chen knew, he would definitely say that Chi Changjai had become a roundworm in his stomach. Su Chen siai for a while, but before he could speak clearly, Guyao also understood what he was thinking, and smiled. Senior, we will definitely do our best to help, but now the problem is, Uncle Li is quite wary of us. We rashly went up to inquire about the situation of the Bai family, and it is estimated that they will be regarded as the enemy. Su Chen sighed, he also understood the situation. Chi Changjai said, don't worry, we might have a chance if we wait, aren't we just being targeted by someone? These people might do something, and as soon as they move, our chance will come. Su Chen scratched his hair for a while, and once again felt that Chi Changjai was a fake sword cultivator. He didn't know that Chi Changjai used to be very upright, but he almost lost his life and started to practice again. A mind, and when he joins Guyao to study the alchemy technique, he is almost an alchemist, and all the other things are left behind. This is also a little bit of practice. This town is indeed very biased, and there may be very few foreign monks here, so when Guyao and Chi Changjai appeared in the center of the town, they aroused all kinds of curious glances, and some people curiously asked them where they came from and where they lived. Guyao said that most of them came from outside, and a friend asked them to come here to see a younger generation, that is, Bai Yun from the Bai family's house on the edge of the town. So you came to see the children of that family. They moved to our town 3 years ago, and I don't know where they came from. I heard that there was something wrong with that child, and they couldn't continue to cultivate. I also heard that the problems on his body will spread to others, so no child here wants to play there. But I've seen that child a few times. He looks white and clean, and there seems to be something wrong with it. I don't know what's in it. It was a refreshing middle-aged woman who told Guyao and the others this, and the woman was still muttering in her heart, maybe there is something shameful in it. These ordinary people still don't mind their own business, so they also keep their own children. Going over there, the child, in addition to being pure and white, looks like a young master from a big family. In 3 years, this was the first time I saw someone go to that house, and the woman couldn't help but nag a few words. Guyao went on to discuss other topics with the woman, and the woman was also willing to stop talking about the child, and told Guyao what she wanted to know in a chatty way. The city lord is a good man, and he often sends people down. Come and guide them to plant spirit grass. Their town relies on planting spirit grass to maintain their living and cultivation. Children born here with good qualifications will also be sent to Tianhua City. The woman is like an ordinary person in the secular world, relying on the labor in the spiritual field to support her only son. The son is now in Tianhua City, and his goal is to join the guard team of Tianhua City. After walking around the town, the two slowly walked back. Guyao rubbed his chin and said, "This town feels weird, brother. Yeah, do you think so?" Chi Changjai nodded. "What's wrong?" Su Chen's voice came out. Guyao snickered in his heart, and sure enough, the seniors were very concerned about the Bai family's affairs. Guyao said, "Because the woman just said that there are very few foreign monks coming here, the people who have been staring at Bai Yun and now staring at us must be residents of this town. Needless to say, they must be someone's order, maybe it's witch force in Tianhua City. How could the residents who have been living in the town have any grudges with the Bai family, and those who can command them are most likely from Tianhua City?" When Guyao and Chi Changjai left the house, they hid their cultivation in the spirit transformation stage. The highest cultivation in this town is at this level, so those who thought they were secretive were stalking them. How could they escape? Surpass their perception. Let's go out of town, Chi Changjai suggested. Guyao immediately understood that instead of waiting for those people to act, it is better to lead them out first. Okay, let's go out now. Like an outing, the two walked all the way to the entrance of the town, and after leaving here, they flew into the air and swayed, very leisurely. Sure enough, a few cultivators followed the others out of the town. They separated from the others on the way, and the ghosts adorned their backs in their direction, and used hidden charms to cover up their auras and traces. If it weren't for Guyao and the others, they might have been able to get away with it. It was far enough away from the town, and a remote and hidden place was searched in the consciousness. Guyao and Chi Changjai landed and waited for the latter to show up. As soon as they stopped, the people behind them became worried. Could they have found something? Are we going to follow? There were also people who were bold and waved their fists and said, "What are you afraid of? They are just two transformation gods, and we can't deal with them together." Don't forget how the above explained that these two quietly appeared in the house. How can there be no problem? Who will take care of it if there is a problem? Okay, then continue. The hesitant man gritted his teeth and continued to move forward. Guyao and Chi Changjai hunted a monster. When they arrived, they were roasting on the fire. Chi Changjai skillfully sprinkled the seasoning, and the fragrance was very appealing. Guyao flicked his finger, and there was fog all around. Those people lost their direction and lost their target. They were shocked. Needless to say, others already knew they were following, and were here waiting for them to slip into the trap. Guyao and Chi Changjai were not in a hurry. They ate the barbecue slowly, boiled the spirit tea and drank it, then clapped their hands, and Zizai and Moi ran out. The cub fell into a deep sleep due to indigestion in the sea of worrying souls last time, and only woke up a few days ago. He has grown a lot, but he is still the same. A cat with black hair. It was too easy for the promoted cub to extract the memories of those few people, so he passed it on to Guyao, and Guyao and Chi Changjai shared it together. There is very little useful interest that can be obtained, because these people in charge of tracking actually know very little. They only know that they should pay close attention to the two masters and servants in that house. If they let them run away, the residents of the entire town will be implicated, and the rumors in the town are also released by them. The purpose is to prevent the residents of the town from contacting them, let alone allow outsiders to approach the master and servant. The two accidents, Guyao and Chi Changjai, worried them a lot, because they didn't know when they came to the town or how they got into the house, so they were staring at them as soon as they went out, and they followed every chance they had. When I came up, I wanted to catch them and go to Tianhua City to claim credit. Chi Changjai got up and played the pomelo, and said, let's go back to town, now we can ask the people in the house what's going on." The result was not too unexpected. This incident just gave them an excuse to intervene in the situation of the Bai family. Okay, shall we go back? When they were far away, a few people who fell unconscious on the ground suddenly woke up, got up quickly, and found that the target they were staring at was gone. After that, he suddenly collapsed and became unconscious. The only thing I can be thankful for is that his life is still alive. What should we do? Go back and report this matter is not something we can handle. Okay. These people also rushed to the town immediately. Guyao and Chi Changjai returned to the town and pushed open the gate of the house. Bai Yun was very happy to see them back, while Uncle Li was a little wary because Uncle Li saw them leaving the town. Chi Changjai placed the ban at random so that people could not go out, and the movement inside could not be heard outside. Seeing his action, Bai Yun panicked, and Uncle Li quickly protected his young master behind him, and said sharply, "What do you want to do?" Guyao couldn't help laughing and said, "It should be us asking, what do you want us to do? Isn't Uncle Li's expectation of our experience in the town that day? So there is no need to guard against us now, but sit down and talk openly and honestly. You can't beat us anyway, and you can't escape." Uncle Li's face turned blue and white. Although Bai Yun was worried and his temperament was simpler, he understood when Gu Yao's words came out. Looking at Uncle Li, did he still implicate the two of them? Uncle Li sighed and pulled the young master to keep a distance from Gu Yao and the others. It seemed that he had the confidence to talk to Gu Yao and the others. Uncle Li said that it wasn't that I wanted to use you, but that you brought it to your door. Haven't you forgotten that? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 425. Gu Yao thought of the scene where he fell in last night, and couldn't help holding his forehead. As Uncle Li said, they were indeed sent to the door to be used by others. No matter what Uncle Li made, the situation they face today is the same. Chi Changjai said lightly, then let us understand what's going on. Even if it is used, it is better to be willing than to know nothing, otherwise we can turn against you. Chi Changjai and Gu Yao are definitely stronger than these two masters and servants, so it is up to them to decide whether to use them or not. They are really ruthless people. Uncle Li's pupils shrank slightly, and he also thought of this possibility, but it seems that these two people, especially Gu Yao, are relatively easy to talk to, and the young master felt that the breath of Gu Yao made him comfortable. Uncle Li Bai Yun felt a little embarrassed. Okay, let me tell you. Uncle Li stepped forward, bowed down to Gu Yao and Chi Changjai and apologized, then said, we are willing to tell the truth, but we are afraid that the two of you will be impatient to stay away from us after knowing the truth, but if you two are willing to do us a favor, I would like to thank you very much. Chi Changjai motioned for him to continue. Uncle Li went on to say, our young master is the only descendant of the direct branch of the big family. Now the family has been stolen by a sideline, and the young master has no elders to protect him. Going down, they want to imprison the young master here for the rest of his life, and the residents of this town are all theirs. However, although the young master has no elders, it does not mean that no one can save the young master. They only need to send a letter out and hand over the letter to the other party to ensure the safety of the young master. They dare not really kill the young master. Uncle Li, it doesn't matter to me. Bai Yun grabbed Uncle Li. He only had Uncle Li as his elder, and he didn't want Uncle Li to do anything else. Uncle Li looked at the young master's eyes, instantly softened, patted his hand reassuringly and said, Uncle Li is fine. Two seniors, although this matter is a bit risky, it is not that the elders of the young master have left nothing behind. As long as the two of you make this trip, I am willing to give the two of you a great gift, which is a treasure left by the ancestors of the young master, which will definitely be of great benefit to the cultivation of the two of you. Gu Yao looked at Uncle Li strangely. If you reveal such information, you are not afraid that we will be bad for you? For example, soul search. Uncle Li laughed. It's useless. Once you search your soul, you won't get anything, and the young master doesn't know about those things. Gu Yao looked at the master and servant with an even weirder expression. In fact, he wanted to try the cub. The method of extracting the memory is different from the soul search, but after thinking about it, forget it. Success, but not a life. Chi Changjai asked, which family are you talking about? It's better to explain the situation clearly and be honest with each other. Su Chen sneered in the space, this guy wants others to be frank, but he is not frank at all. Chi Changjai didn't care when he heard it. Are he and Gu Yao the kind of people who would be tempted by a little ancestral treasure? Although I am a little curious about what it is, after all, the first ancestor in Su Chen's mouth was a powerful and demon cultivator. Besides, he wants to be honest. Does Senior Su dare to come out and reveal his identity? Chi Changjai asked Su Chen curiously, Senior, have the ancestors of the Bai family soared, or have their lifespan been exhausted? Both of them have soared. If it wasn't for the immortal world and the spiritual world not being able to communicate with each other, how would their descendants end up with such a result? If I say that these collaterals are also shallow-eyed, they only stare at the 1 acre in the spiritual world. 3 points, I know I can't fly. In the immortal realm, there are not many scruples, otherwise they will go to the immortal realm, and the ancestors of the Bai family will not be able to spare them. So the Bai family is still in decline, Chi Changjai guessed, otherwise, why wouldn't he try to ascend to the immortal realm? The Taoist companion of the ancestor of the Bai clan was Bai Bingqi. It's good to have instead of self-destructing walls like it is now. Su Chen sighed, maybe. Uncle Li was a little worried that after the other party knew their details, he was afraid to reach out because of Bai's power. Chi Changjai seemed to see what he was thinking, and simply said that your young master's surname was Bai, so he wouldn't belong to the Bai clan. As far as I know, an ancestor of the Bai clan once married a demon cultivator and left him in the clan. Offspring, what does this have to do with your young master? Uncle Li's face turned pale. These two monks came from the barren state, and they didn't expect to know the situation in Dongzhou. Chi Changjai was bluffing him. The two ancestors of the Bai family are also famous in the spiritual world, and it is not surprising to know their deeds outside Dongzhou, but I didn't expect to meet these two seniors when they first came to Dongzhou. Descendants, they never thought that their descendants would be forced here by Siam. Su Chen's mind waved his fist at Chi Changjai. If it wasn't for what he said to the two of them, he would have believed it. Uncle Li gritted his teeth like a broken jar. Yes, our young master is the only descendant of these two ancestors, but the ancestors do not know that they raised a group of white-eyed wolves, and I don't think that there are no two ancestors, the Bai family. How could a family become a big family in Dongzhou and even the spiritual world, but they not only forgot, but also ungrateful. Even the only descendant of the two ancestors could not tolerate, if not. Since the two seniors have already guessed the identity of the young master, then I will not hide it from the two of you, because the ancestor married a demon cultivator as his wife, so the Bai clan and the demon cultivator have exchanges with each other until today. The business of the Bai family relies on the relationship with Yaoi to do business for profit, but if the blood of the ancestors is really broken, the Yaoi will definitely sense that the business of the Bai's business will plummet, so they dare not treat the young master. They will kill you, but they will not let the young master escape their control. In addition to living in this town all his life and being monitored, and it is very likely that even the young master will get married and have children in their control in the future. When he thinks of this possibility, Uncle Li can't wait to slaughter all those beasts. Uncle Li talked a lot about the Bai family. The treasures he mentioned were left by the two ancestors before they ascended. He believed that they should be able to impress them. The city owner of Tianhua City is also the helper of the Bai family's sideline. With him, Bai Yun and Uncle Li have no way to leave here. Bai Yun has the strength of nascent soul. Uncle Li was injured, so his strength is only up to the level of God transformation. Even if he fights to die, he can show the strength of soul transformation. Usually, he is at the level of nascent soul, so it is impossible for the two of them to escape. Chi Changjai was very interested in the treasures left by the ancestors of the Bai family. After all, it was senior ascension. In fact, there was no such situation as Su Chen said. For the treasures in Uncle Li's mouth, he might take a risk, although it is difficult to complete the task. Not small. Chi Changjai asked, if we sent a letter for you, how would you come back to find you? Because of our presence, maybe those people will transfer you to other places. Uncle Li had obviously thought about it a long time ago and signaled to the young master. Bai Yun walked out from the back and took a scale from his body. It was crystal clear and it felt cool to touch. Needless to say, it should be the scale on Bai Bingqi's body. Bai Yun said gratefully, just put spiritual energy into the scale, and I can sense each other's orientation, which is left by the ancestors, and the general prohibition formation cannot be isolated unless the strength exceeds the ancestors. Okay, then we'll leave right now, you all have to take care of yourself, we don't want to get paid. Chi Changjai handed the scales to Gu Yao to put away. Guyao glanced at Uncle Li and took out a few bottles of medicinal pills from the storage ring. This can heal your wounds. Uncle Li took it gratefully. He clearly knew the treasures left by the ancestors of the Bai family, but he and the young master could not even get the medicine for healing. He carefully explained the location of the letter to Guyao Chi Changjai. And how to contact the other party. The token is actually the scale given by Bai Yun, which is more reliable than anything else. Farewell. Chi Changjai embraced Guyao, bowed his hands to the master and servant, and turned to leave. This time, he did not walk out of the door openly, but went out of the town without a trace, and only threw the aircraft away when he was far away. Uncle Li and Bai Yun stood in the yard and kept looking at the direction Guyao and the others were leaving. Uncle Li turned around and saw the reluctant eyes of the young master, saying that the young master had to trust Uncle Li's vision. They were not the kind of insatiable greedy people, and the young master would definitely deliver the letter, and then the young master would be able to escape the sea of misery. Bai Yun shook his head and said, I just envy them. I can go wherever I want, and one day I can do this too. From birth, he seems to have moved from one yard to another. The difference is not too big, except that the place is getting smaller and the environment is getting more and more simple. In fact, his Bai Bingqi bloodline is stronger than his father's. This kind of blood makes him yearn for freedom and a vast world, but he has been detained in a small courtyard. In fact, he doesn't care about the Bai family's property. Those collateral clansmen take it if you like it, but why did they kill their relatives and trap themselves in such a place? Uncle Li patted the young master's head, and repeatedly said distressedly, there will be that day, it will be very soon, when the young master gets rid of the trouble and can practice. He will quickly grow into a monk as powerful as his ancestors, and no one will be able to do that. I can't be bothered, sir. I'll take Uncle Li with me. Bai Yun said with bright eyes. Uncle Li felt even more distressed. Even if he fought his own life, he had to protect the young master and let the young master realize his wish. The two stayed in the yard and waited, because they knew that someone would come soon. It didn't take long for their house to be surrounded by many people, but they were not attacked, waiting for the people from Tianhua city to come. At this moment, Bai Yun was no longer afraid. The bloodline his parents and ancestors gave him was his best guarantee, and it could also save Uncle Li's life. Before it was dark, the residents of the town saw an aircraft flying in the air, parked above their town, and then two monks came out of it and flew towards the house that no one usually approaches. But at this moment, the sound of a wooden fish came from far and near, and a monk with a very beautiful face that could sparkle in the dark, walked towards the town step by step. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 426. Bai Yun and Uncle Li were taken away by the monks who came to the town. Originally, these people wanted to kill the whole town, so as not to let the news here leak out, but after a days, they forgot the idea. And only took away Bai Yun and Uncle Li. The two monks who came to the town to enter and exit this courtyard couldn't find them in the whole town. They must find out the people as soon as possible. When Monk Xiaomei came, no one noticed, and when he left, no one noticed. Even the sound of the wooden fish seemed to be heard in a dream. Only Bai Yun, who was arrested and detained in the aircraft room, shook his head. He seemed to hear someone knocking on the wooden fish. How could no one notice such a big movement? He felt that it was unlikely that he had heard it wrong, but even Uncle Li said no. Weird. The monk came out of the town, looked back and whispered, I didn't expect to be a step late, but where did these two monks come from? In front of the monk appeared two silhouettes drawn with spiritual energy. They were Guyao and Chi Changjai who had stayed in the town. The monk discerned the direction in the dark, and then walked step by step in the direction where Guyao and the others left, looking at it slowly, but in the blink of an eye, the person disappeared. Su Chen, who was staying in the space, suddenly looked up at the void and asked Gu Yao outside, "Have you heard a bald donkey knocking on a wooden fish nearby?" Because it was late at night, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai did not continue on their way. The monsters were active at night. They could not guarantee that there would be no stronger than them, so they put down the 8 trigrams locking array and rested for a night, and waited for the next day to set off. After hearing Su Chen's words, they couldn't help but look out, and then replied strangely, "Senior is hallucinating, where is the sound of wooden fish coming from?" Except for the relic on Chen Sheng's body, Gu Yao has never contacted Buddhist cultivation since he came to the realm of cultivation, so he is very sure that there are absolutely no monks knocking wooden fish around. "Ah, you're just hallucinating. Let me tell you, those bald donkeys don't have a good thing. The farther away you run into them in the future, the better, so as not to be fooled by them accidentally," Su Chen angrily scolded. Qi Changjai thought it was funny. Su Chen had never warned them so carefully before, so he couldn't help but guess, could it be that Senior suffered a loss from the Buddhist monks? Bah, bah. You're the one who suffers. Who is this alchemist? You won't suffer from anything you eat. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai glanced at each other, both of them had smiles in their eyes. They absolutely doubted which Buddhist monk Su Chen had a holiday with, so he was so angry that he would not continue to get angry. Gu Yao held back his smile. "Promise, I will never take the initiative to say hello when I encounter a Buddhist cultivator in the future, and I can go as far as I can. Although the town in front is the closest to Tianhua City, it is impossible for them to drill into that city now, and they have to change their identities again." When they hit the road the next day, they not only changed the aircraft, but also changed their appearance, but the cultivation level returned to the practice. Although the two of them smeared Dongzhou, Uncle Li gave them some clues, and Su Chen had stayed in Dongzhou before. Although Qi Changjai felt that this senior was not so reliable, he provided the situation can still be used for reference, so they are getting farther and farther away from Tianhua City. Qi Changjai's hunch was not wrong. After a while, he and Gu Yao ran out of a demon cultivator's territory in embarrassment. There is a bloodline descendant that is said to be the swallowing bee, and they were almost surrounded by thousands of descendants of the swallowing bee. Escape as fast as possible, they will be absolutely miserable. After flying out of the boundary, the buzzing sound in the ear disappeared, but it always felt that there was still a residual sound. Qi Changjai's head was full of black lines. "Senior, this is the land that the predecessor said can be unimpeded." The cubs also protested together, "Meow meow meow." Su Chen was right, he clearly remembered that he had been here before, and nothing happened. Who would have known that these two had such bad luck, and muttered, "I came here without any obstructions before, who made you so weak?" Of course, the Tianshan bee knows how to bully the soft and be afraid of the hard. The more Su Chen talked, the more he felt that he was justified, and Gu Yao said with lingering fears, "Okay, don't argue, let's change the route quickly, let's take a detour, and be careful next." "Well, I'd rather slow down." Unlike barren state, the power of demon cultivators in Dongzhou can be said to be comparable to that of human cultivators, and may even be slightly stronger, but most of the time they are different. Except for the cities in the border area, you can see people and monsters living together. Rarely stepped into other territory. For this reason, the terrain here is also more complicated than that of the barren state. In the barren state, most of the outside of the city is the wilderness. Apart from being careful not to bump into the barren beasts that are too strong, there are not so many scruples in walking in the wilderness. This is different. Without a map to guide, who knows if he will accidentally smash into the world of demon cultivators that are hostile to human cultivators. Okay, I know that there will be a city where people and monsters live together. You can go there and ask for some new Su Chen remedied. Qi Changjai is still skeptical, who can guarantee that the city will stay well? But now they have no choice but to follow Su Chen's words. It's better than blindly running around. Fortunately, Su Chen was more reliable this time. After flying around for 3 days and 3 nights, they finally saw the tall city wall in front of them. Guyao couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Dongzhou had better conditions than Huangzhou. There will be so many demon cultivators squatting together, but walking here without any strength is really boring. When they got close, they saw the 3 words Shang City hanging high at the gate of the city. This time they even got the city name. It's really not easy. Abandoning the aircraft, the two landed and walked into the city with their monks. Sure enough, there were some cultivators who entered the city together, and there were also demon cultivators, and the demon cultivators had a very strong aura. There is a jade bib at the gate of the city, with various notices posted on it. Guyao and Qi Changjai glanced at it. As expected, they were offered a reward again. They saw other monks passing by and stopped, and then looked at the reward list. Talking with interest, Guyao couldn't help but black line. Where are these 2 stunned youths who dare to offend the Bai family? Although the current Bai family does not have the glory of their ancestors, it is not that any stunned youth can bully them. See if there are 2 people's whereabouts, you can get 10 top quality spirit stones as a reward. If you can catch the 2 of them and send them to Bai's house, then you can get 100 top quality spirit stones. Tisk tisk, if I let me, it's good to meet them, I will definitely free their heads and get 100 top quality spirit stones. The man who spoke loudly and madly was a demon cultivator. Guyao looked at it with a black line. Ho, he is quite big, and his body is a bear, but they were standing behind this bear, watching how he twisted his head. This stupid bear can be beaten to death with one fist. The 2 monks who were placed on the bounty had no clue. Everyone talked about it for a while and then spread out. Most of them were talking about the current Bai family. If the ancestors of the Bai family were still in the spiritual world, they would definitely be beaten to death. Under Yu Yin sheltered them, the Bai family would have been squeezed by other forces for a long time. If you want me to say, now these Bai family members are really embarrassing their ancestors. They are weak like chickens. They don't look like the ancestors of the Bai family. People were married back. Look at these Bai family members now, let alone Bai Bingqi, even ordinary demon cultivators can't beat them. If the blood of the 2 ancestors is broken one day, the Bai family will definitely be finished. But there are still descendants alive now. Although he is not the same as the ancestor, he is a weak talent, but with him, the Bai Bingqi family will always take care of it. We these demon cultivators are not for the Bai family's face, but for the Bai family. Bai Bingqi's clan saves face, otherwise who cares about those Bai clan? Su Chen also heard these discussions outside, and he was very emotional. When I came to Dongzhou, the reputation of the Bai family was not so bad, and the direct line was still very competitive. Compete. Guyao also said with emotion, yes, no matter how good Ziyu Yin is, it is impossible to protect him forever. The cultivator has to become stronger by himself. It is better to rely on the sky and the earth. The ancestors of the Bai family were respected by others because of their strength, but the descendants forgot this point. Although the Bai family has fallen a lot compared to their ancestors, the ancestors are still there. With the protection of the Bai Bingqi family, they can eat well even in this realm where human beings and monsters live together. Guyao and the others want to send a letter to, and the Bai Bingqi family is the closest to the land, otherwise they will leak their whereabouts rashly, and they will never get the result they want, but will be found by the Bai family. The 2 were the same as before, buying all kinds of spiritual materials while taking the pills. The spiritual resources here are very rich, some from the human cultivator side, and some from the demon cultivator side, but the most important thing is to buy the map. The more detailed maps cost more. Moreover, if it is not for internal relations, it is difficult for outsiders to buy a map that clearly marks the demon cultivator's site. The demon cultivator does not want those people to know their territory clearly, which will make the demon cultivator very incapable. Sense of security. When Guyao and the others were busy, the beautiful monk who once appeared in the town also came to Sandiying city. The guards who guarded the city didn't seem to see him, so the monk went straight through the crowd and entered. In the city, the originally beautiful face seemed to have lost its luster, and it became less amazing. Along the way, almost no cultivator gave him a second look. Guyao and Chi Changjai bought another map, walked out of the store, put together a few copies, and it should be much safer to go on the road. Guyao suddenly stopped and looked at Chi Changjai. "Brother, yeah, did you hear? Knock on wooden fish?" "I heard it too." Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 427. Su Chen, who was playing with Zi Bao Bao, also heard the sound of wooden fish in the space. He heard it right last time, and jumped to the two outside and shouted, "Leave! Stay away from those bald donkeys." It was too late. Guyao and Chi Changjai both sighed in their hearts and watched the wonders appearing on the street in front of them. It was clearly a bustling and crowded street, but suddenly a monk with a bright head appeared. He knocked on the wooden fish in a hurry and walked towards them. Just after the monk appeared, the whole street seemed to be divided into two parts. Overlapping spaces. One belongs to the cultivator group, and the other belongs to this monk alone, so even if he knocks on the wooden fish, the cultivators around him. But no one could hear the voice, and continued to shout loudly with his friends and companions. Guyao and Chi Changjai wanted to move, but found that they had been pulled into the same space where the monk was, and their bodies were bound by an invisible force. Their stronger power makes them yearn. When he saw the monk's face clearly, Rao was used to seeing the beautiful two people, and his eyes couldn't help but flash with surprise. Guyao's eyes even stared. "God, this face is indistinguishable between males and females. Actually grew up on a monk." I felt a little pity for a moment, but then I felt that they complement each other. Although they are contradictory, there is a strange coordination. When the monk approached the wooden fish and the sound was clear, the two also woke up from their astonishment, turned their heads to look at each other. The expression in the other's eyes was the same as theirs, and if the other party was malicious to them at this moment, they probably couldn't escape. Therefore, what Su Chen said was equivalent to saying it in vain. Su Chen was so nervous. Did he really have any holiday with the monk? Last time Su Chen said that he heard the sound of knocking on a wooden fish, but he didn't hear it, so he said, "This monk is aimed at them." "No, is it at Senior Su Chen?" Two donors, let the monk chase all the way very hard. Monk Xiaomei folded her hands together and gave a Buddha salute, and then looked at the two with a smile in her eyes. Hearing this, Guyao felt a sense of guilt in his heart, and then overthrew it again, with a faint vigilance in his heart, and performed the etiquette of a monk. "Master is polite, the younger two and the master have never covered their faces. I don't know what the master is doing." "What do you mean?" Monk Xiaomei's smiling eyes flashed with admiration, saying that people who go home don't make banquets. What the donor thinks is what the monk thinks, and the donor should not belittle yourself. "There is no way to talk about this anymore." Guyao gave Chi Changjai a wink. "Come on." Under this monk's smile, Guyao felt that he had seen all his secrets. Chi Changjai looked up at the surrounding pedestrians and the street in front of him. No one noticed that they were talking to a monk, and he also had a very powerless feeling in his heart. Does the master want to keep talking here? Why don't you find another place to talk straight to the point? All right, just follow the wishes of the two benefactors. Su Chen was going crazy, jumping around in the space. The smell of that bald donkey was too familiar. How could that lunatic come here? How could he find him? After being crazy for a while, he finally fell down in discouragement. Zi Bao Bao hid far away and peeked and didn't dare to get close. He was so afraid. Su Chen vented for a while and knew that with the ability of the two boys outside, He couldn't get rid of the lunatic outside, so what else could he do? But Su Chen is still a little unwilling, grabbing his hair and unable to look up at the sky, but there seems to be a picture in front of him that makes him hate it. The already beautiful face, he quickly reached out and stirred it up. He was crazy to think of this face. I don't know what taboos monks have, so Guyao and the others found a tea house and sat in the box, as if they were entering the tea house when the monks beside them discovered that there was a monk, and the shopkeeper of the tea house looked at it strangely. After a few glances, it was obvious that few Buddhist monks visited here, but he didn't pay much attention to his beauty. Sitting down in the box, Guyao and Chi Changjai didn't know how to speak, so they simply stopped talking and drank tea honestly. But the monk Xiaomei still knocked on the wooden fish for a while. Guyao and Chi Changjai heard that Lingtai was clear and bright, but Su Chen was upset and could not wait to rush out and shout, "Stop knocking!" As if hearing Su Chen's thoughts, the monk stopped his movements and looked at Guyao with a good smile. Guyao, who had been amazed, still felt a little confused. If the master has something to say, Chi Changjai couldn't help but open his mouth. The smile in the monk's eyes was even stronger, and he stretched out his hand and pointed at Guyao, a monk who didn't speak in Banyan. "This donor has his breath, so I'm here. Monk, is he okay?" Chi Changjai twitched the corners of his mouth, and the question was really straightforward. "I don't know who the master is talking about." "The master is chasing us. Do you know whether that one means the same as the master?" The monk clasped his hands together and proclaimed the Buddha's name. It seems that the monk made the two donors embarrassed. Anyway, the two donors can do whatever they want. I just watch the monk. Guyao and Chi Changjai numb their scalps and look at each other. What does this mean? The monk wants to follow the two of them all the time. And what about Anne's birthday? But if the legs grow on other people's bodies, can they still ban it? After drinking a pot of tea, the two returned to the inn where they were temporarily staying. The monk really followed behind, but fortunately they didn't follow up in their room. As soon as he entered the room and activated the formation, Guyao frantically called out to Su Chen in the space. Before, he didn't dare to contact the senior outside, because he was afraid of being discovered. Maybe the other party already knew his details, but he was still careful. Cautious attitude. "Senior, what's going on? Is that master an old acquaintance of the senior? Is he here to find the senior?" After the madness, Su Chen has calmed down. Of course, this is what Guyao saw on the outside. As for whether the inside is really calm, it is unknown. Su Chen calmly looked at the phantom formed by Guyao's consciousness, and then smiled. Guyao felt like flowers blooming in front of him. "Mother, everyone is a monster. I told you to stay away from the bald donkey. Now that you are entangled, you can get rid of it and count me as a loser." Is the senior not afraid of being overtaken by the master? Chi Changjai's voice came in coolly. Su Chen's mouth twitched, and he almost broke his power. "Are you also confused by his appearance? Let me tell you, this bald donkey is a monster. Do you think he has a very clean breath and is a good monk? Nonsense. He is actually a devil monk. Real or fake?" Guyao and Chi Changjai were really shocked. They were actually monks of the magic way? No, is that still a monk? The monk who has entered the magic way should be expelled from this team. The most important thing is that they didn't even notice the magic aura on him. Is this frightening? Abba, you didn't see the scene of this bald donkey going crazy and killing people? He is going crazy now, and there are not enough people in the entire Sand Eagle city to kill him. Su Chen continued to expose the bald donkey. Skin. Guyao and Chi Changjai didn't know which one to believe, whether they believed in their own feelings or what Su Chen said. Of course, they wouldn't think that the monk was a Buddhist practitioner who couldn't kill, but would he go crazy and kill? To be honest, thinking of the master's beautiful face, I can't imagine him going crazy and killing people. "Senior, what should I do now?" The master is not looking for us, but the senior Guyao revealed the essence. And does the master know about the existence of the pill pavilion? Su Chen had a mouthful of old blood stuck in his throat. Even though his body was gone, this feeling was too real, and he couldn't even maintain the semblance of calm. It's not that the two of you are too weak, otherwise, how could you be so easily caught? Found. You are right, this bald donkey knows the details of the pill pavilion, but don't worry, he doesn't like this thing. Guyao also felt that otherwise, the other party would have wiped out his existence as soon as possible, and would have taken the pill pavilion away. Senior, we have only practiced for so many years, of course we can't compare to the senior's cultivation base. Chi Changai's faint voice came into the space, but even Guyao could hear Chi Changai's displeasure and ridicule, and couldn't help snickering. Thinking of his current state, Su Chen couldn't help but lose his face. Sure enough, relying on others is not as good as relying on himself. Now he can't even rely on himself, and relying on others is even more useless. Su Chen waved his hand lazily. Forget it, let the bald donkey follow you if he loves you, and treat him as a guard. In this huge spiritual world, where can you find such a strong free guard? With him. You just want to forcibly break into Bai Bingqi's clan, there is no problem, or you can simply go to the Bai family and buy Yun out. Guyao twitched the corners of his mouth. Su Chen dared to say that they didn't dare to use it. It's really like the predecessors said that the master is a ruthless person. If he is really in danger, he will take action to protect them. It is estimated that as long as the senior is alive, Guyao really does not dare to entrust the lives of him and Chi Changai to others. Chi Changai also had the same meaning, and said tacitly, let's follow the original plan and deliver Bai Yun's letter first. Guyao and Chi Changai never had the idea of wanting to get rid of the master. They could find it from elsewhere, just from the mysterious atmosphere of Guyao's body. They believed that even if they walked to the horizon, they could be found by the master, so it's better to be honest, and the other party will be more tolerant for their acquaintance's sake. So the next day, the two replenished a sum of supplies and set off again, leaving Sandiying City. As they expected, when Guyao and Chi Changai encountered a dangerous battle, the monks stood on the sidelines and watched, and their opponents, whether they were humans or monsters, seemed to be unable to detect his existence. Of course, Guyao people don't dare to pin their hopes on monks, and they never dare to be careless when dealing with the enemy. He didn't dare to hide any means from under his nose. Whether it was Zizé or Mou, they all joined the battle with Guyao. Zizé's intuition was very accurate. He even dared to wave his paws in Chi Changai, but did not dare to approach the monk. Subconsciously felt that he was dangerous. On the contrary, once the monkling lifted the back of the cub's neck and lifted him up, this black nightmare beast is very fat. The cub froze instantly. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 428. In a certain city in Dongzhou, 2 rows of monks quickly passed over the heads of other monks and swept away in a certain direction outside the city. Isn't that the bodyguard of the Bai family? What is the Bai family going to do? Or who has messed with the Bai family again? Isn't the Bai family posting bounties all over the place recently to catch 2 unknown monks? Did those 2 guys show up somewhere, and they rushed to catch them? Forget it, just hide away when you see the people of the Bai family. Why rush to provoke them? Hey, what happened to the Bai family? When you really thought it was the glory of the ancestors. This is not to provoke the evil spirits, otherwise you can see if the Bai family can still show prestige. Bai Qing of the Bai family personally led the team to get people, because someone sent a photo stone, and the photo in the photo stone was the 2 monks who had been in contact with Bai Yun in the nameless town. The void refining monster beast battle was discovered by a passing cultivator, so he came to the Bai family to get 10 top quality spirit stones. The cultivator who received the spirit stone left the shadow stone and flashed, and Bai Qing took the initiative to ask for his life, but two unknown cultivators, he brought these guards over, still couldn't hold anyone? At that time, it was a great achievement in the Bai family, and the competition among the children of the Bai family was also great, and it was not so easy to grab the credit. Somewhere in the wilderness, a monk descended from the sky and shouted, "Senior!" Guyao and Qi Changjai walked out of the formation, as if they appeared out of thin air. The cultivator was only a spiritual practitioner, so he quickly grabbed 5 top-quality spirit stones, and said flatly, "Two seniors, I'll bring the spirit stones here." "Now, this is for the seniors." He quickly took out a storage bag. "There is also food and drink here, which is for the juniors to honor the two seniors." Guyao took a look at his spiritual sense and found that it was full of spirit wine, spirit dishes, and barbecued meat. He threw away a bottle of medicinal herbs with satisfaction. "Bonus, you should hurry up and walk away, so as not to be affected. The two seniors should also be careful." "Thank you, seniors, the juniors will leave now." The god-turning cultivator was also clever, took the medicinal pill happily, and ran as fast as his buttocks on fire. This level of combat is not something he can do at all. Intervening, he still wants to live well. At this moment, Guyao and Qi Changjai still have traces of disguise. It's not that they don't want to change, but the master behind them, not letting them change, and saying that there is nothing to be afraid of in a Bai family, especially looking at Xiang Xiang. Qi Changjai's eyes showed the meaning of Yu Jianqiajing is so timid and afraid of things, so that their identities will soon be exposed. Rather than exposing others to take the spirit stone, they might as well get it themselves, so they grabbed a cultivator they met on the road and gave him a chance to take the spirit stone. Thinking of the situation they were about to face, Guyao and Qi Changjai looked at each other. Then, they could only fight well, otherwise they wouldn't even be able to escape. The two of them never thought that they would encounter such a scene. A monk with a beautiful face and a flowery smile told them that it is wrong to lie, and if there is any misunderstanding, everyone can find a chance to talk about it, and there is nothing in the world that cannot be solved. The misunderstanding, unless their level is not enough, then they can't back down. Qi Changjai deeply felt that it was not without reason that Senior Su Chen often jumped and scolded people. It was purely because of this kind of person, because he was forced by this serious monk who persuaded them to work hard and wanted to scold people. What to solve the misunderstanding? Isn't it just fighting? It seems like there is no fireworks. If Su Chen told them that the monk's old bottom is a demon, they might really think that the monk is trying to persuade them to do good, instead of trying to move up. The two walked into the formation. The monk was sitting on the side and was concentrating on knocking on the wooden fish. Hearing the sound, the little bit of impatience that had just arisen immediately dissipated. "Master, this is what the Taoist friends sent to honor Master." Before, Guyao sent a storage bag of wine, vegetables, and meat. "Yes, this is a wine and meat monk." The monk stopped knocking the wooden fish and put his hands together. The poor monk thanked the two benefactors. Then put the wooden fish away, put it on a low table, put the wine and vegetables on it and start eating. No matter how indecent it is, it can be matched with his beautiful appearance, which is the most beautiful picture. Guyao silently turned his head and took out the pill furnace to make pills on the spot. Qi Changjai took out his purple thunder sword and seized the time to digest the experience of fighting during this period of time. If you don't work hard, you can't do it, you are forced. The monk, who rolled up his sleeves and snorted, was very satisfied with this scene. "That's right, how can you do without working hard? Anyone can die, but this little guy Guyao can't die, he has to live well." As soon as the pot of elixir was refined, and before it was put into the jade bottle, the monk who was eating and drinking rolled over his sleeves. Guyao had no choice but to glance at him, then put away the pot of elixir and stood up, because they had to wait. "People come." Qi Changjai stood side by side with him, looking from the inside of the formation to the outside. 2 rows of monks flew in the air, Wearing Chinese clothes and brocade robes, with a look of wealth and honor, looking at the arrogance on his face, it was not difficult to guess. It should be a child of the Bai family. Although he also has a cultivation base, Gu Yao dares to say that he will beat this guy down without having to take a shot late. This cultivation base is purely based on medicinal pills. There are void refining and transforming spirits in the back. That is, spirit transforming. Those are monks in the late stage of spirit transformation. The highest cultivation base is the late void refining. Sending such a big battle to capture the two little monks of spirit transformation is really high profile. Yes, in the photo-taking stone they sent, they still deliberately pressed their cultivation base to become a to confuse the enemy. If they show their strength in refining, I wonder if the Bai family will send a cultivator to deal with them. Bai Qing came to the location shown in the photo-taking stone and looked down condescendingly. Where is the person? Did he run away? Search for this young master, and don't let anyone in the radius of 100 miles be spared. Yes, Master Cheng. Don't wait, we'll be waiting here. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai walked out of the formation, squatting on Gu Yao's shoulders, with a black jade belt wrapped around their waists. They were fully armed, and since the monk followed them, Senior Su Chen got into the pill pavilion. Refused to talk to them. Sure enough, it's you, Bai Qing said proudly. It didn't take much effort to get it. I don't know what that little Bai Yun said to you, or gave you something. Anyway, as long as you take you down, you'll know everything. Go ahead, don't leave your mouth alive. Yes, young Master Cheng. Although they found that the two cultivators below were not transmuting gods, but refining virtuals, so what? As expected, young Master Ching had foresight and dispatched guards in the late stage of virtual refining, which was like catching a turtle in a urn. The cultivator above surrounded the two people below after Bai Qing's order. The cultivator's eyes flashed with contempt in the late stage of the virtual refining. These two boys also wanted to get involved in the whirlpool of the Bai family. Stretch your palm and press down. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai glanced at each other, and the next moment they separated abruptly. One rushed towards the late-stage cultivator, and the other rushed towards Bai Qing. What kind of status does this arrogant guy have in the Bai family, and can he come in handy? Bai Qing was furious. The guy with short eyes dared to attack him, waved others to get on, and hit him hard. The cultivator wanted to blow Gu Yao away in the late stage of the virtual refining, but he was immediately hit by an open field. But Gu Yao didn't even mean to stop. The speed didn't slow down at all. He still rushed towards Bai Qing. Just when those treasures or palms condensed with spiritual energy were about to grab Gu Yao's side, there were two bang sounds, and then only the Jinghun giant beast and a monster with its teeth and claws blocked their attack. One of the treasures was actually swallowed by the Jinghun giant beast, and then the raging black flames burned up. Ah! The cultivator screamed while holding his head. He felt that his consciousness was forcibly removed from the treasure by an inexplicable existence. Stripped. On the other side, it was even more unexpected. The unknown monster with its claws suddenly burst out with dozens of vines, tying up the attacking treasures and monks. Grow out. The unfortunate cultivator immediately felt that something was wrong. Their spiritual power was rapidly draining, and their consciousness became dazed. At this time, let's not talk about intercepting Gu Yao, but whether they could maintain their fighting power and break free from the monster's claws. Our problems. Under the interception of Zizai and Moyu, there were still monks who passed them and rushed towards Gu Yao. Gu Yao suddenly turned his hand and took out a mirror to look at the man. In the blink of an eye, a fire dragon jumped out and slammed into the place. The cultivator could almost clearly hear the sound of the defense shattering. With a bang, the cultivator flew out, his defenses shattered, the fire dragon slammed into him, and he wondered if he could breathe. Pissed. Gu Yao doesn't care about that person's life or death, his target is the guy in front of him who is wearing a sassy bag. Bai Qing thought that he was getting the credit, How could he expect that as soon as they met, this sudden situation made him terrified? Guyao seemed to be a gentle person, but how could he expect that there would be so many means, he the pet beasts around him could actually stop so many monks, and even sent a cultivator in the early stage of virtual refining with one blow, so Bai Qing turned around subconsciously and wanted to run. Run. Guyao sneered, being forced to fight everywhere during this time is not without benefits, at least he was much more decisive and ruthless, and when he thought about it, the same huge palm condensed from spiritual energy appeared in front of him. Hit it before. Boom. The dignified cultivator in the middle stage of virtual refining actually ran away when he saw the cultivator in the early stage of virtual refining. Not to mention, he was smashed and flew out by the fists that came up behind him. Guyao rushed over again, and smashed the man with punch after punch. Going up, to be honest, the effect of body training is very good. He used his fist to smash the defensive treasure on Bai Qing's body, and Bai Qing shouted for mercy. The monk who was drinking spirit wine was dumbfounded. He seemed to have underestimated this little alchemist, but he didn't expect to have violent tendencies. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 429. On the one hand, the cultivator in the late stage of virtual refining was pressed and beaten by the sword cultivator Qi Changjai. On the other hand, the leader Bai Qing was beaten by Guyao, and the other cultivators were played around by two beast pets. The monk was drinking and watching. Bai Qing didn't expect this gentle and delicate-looking monk to be so violent, hugging his head to escape without forgetting the threat. Let me go, Master Ben, do you know who's offended? You dare to beat Master Ben, Bai Qing. Home will never make you feel better. Heh, Guyao didn't expect to meet such an idiot. You brought people here to want our lives, so that's what makes us feel better? I think I beat it lightly, so you can still watch it now. The situation is unclear. Bang bang bang, the old fist slammed down again. Don't look at Guyao's tendency to be weak. If you don't carefully identify his blood and breath, you can't tell that he has practiced the body. However, not only has he insisted on body training, but he has also endured a period of time in the peak space of the secret realm of the Absolute Pond. After all the tempering and transformation, the strength of this body is hard to say compared to Qi Changjai, but compared to Bai Qing who is being beaten now, 2. No, 3 are comparable. So when Bai Qing fell into Guyao's hands, he couldn't resist at all, and when he punched him, Bai Qing felt that his internal organs were about to shatter. Stop, stop. I'm the young master of the Bai family. Do you know what the status of the Bai family is in Dongzhou? Bai Qing was about to cry. If he had known that he was such an evil god, he would definitely not have taken this task over. Maybe he would have been able to sit and watch others suffer and let him have fun. After being beaten up and spitting blood, he finally begged for mercy. He said, "The hero spares his life, I don't dare anymore, I'm just a child of Bai's family who works for the clan, and it's not me who ordered you to be arrested." Guyao was so excited, he tied him with a rope. One end of the rope was in his hand, and when he looked back, he was almost happy. Mou alone tied at least half of the people with its overwhelming kelp. If it wasn't for the cubs not letting Mou help, there might be more people who could be tied up. In terms of group attack ability, no one here can compare to Mou. The late-stage cultivator was beaten by Qi Changjai to the point of destroying his body, and he quickly flashed out of the battle circle, looking at the result of this battle with an ugly face. It was a shame. "Cub come back," Guyao called to Cub grabbing the rope. The cub puffed black smoke at those guys, turned his head back to the master. Mou was very attentive and quickly these dizzy people again, it is a small expert at binding people. Seeing the result, the cub grinned, but Guyao looked at the ink-colored kelp group that took up most of the space. The cultivator in the late stage of the virtual refining almost gasped, and scolded with trembling hands, "You guys are not ready to release young Master Qing, otherwise you will never have a happy birthday on the boundary of Dongzhou." Qi Changjai stood beside Guyao with arms folded. Guyao couldn't help digging his ears. Why couldn't he change something fresh? The tone is so loud, when I really thought that the Bai family was still the glory of the ancestors, not to mention this Dongzhou, it is the whole the spiritual world can also talk about it, but what is the current Bai family? Your Bai family expects to live a good life by relying on the blood of the direct line, so it is better to be kind to the blood of the direct line. Bai listened furiously, but he couldn't express his anger, so he had to hold back his anger. The cultivator in the late stage of the virtual practice followed the Bai family's sideline, of course, with the interests of the sideline as the most important thing. Hey, don't talk nonsense, when will it be the turn of outsiders to intervene in the Bai family's own affairs? Guyao is too lazy to fight with him. If you don't leave, don't even think about leaving and stay with you, the young master of the Bai family. Qi Changjai released his sword energy in cooperation, and the cultivator's face turned pale in the late stage of the virtual refinement. Where did such a strong sword cultivator come from? He used to. Never heard of it. The reason why there is no news here in Dongzhou is because there is no access to the Absolute Pawn's secret realm in Dongzhou, except for those big businesses that operate across states. How do they know the situation so far? Guyao muttered, "It's enough to be so honest, MOU, let those people go too. During this time, we will leave the young master of the Bai family to be our guide. When the time comes, we will naturally let him go back." MOU obediently spit out the people who were tied up, and several were already in a coma. In the late stage of Liangsu, the cultivator was furious and looked at Bai Qing, who was unable to speak or move. The latter was sealed by Guyao, and now he can only wink at him desperately, meaning to let him lead someone to save himself. Liangsu in the later period, the cultivator had to put the other companions on the aircraft, looked at Qi Changjai and Guyao sullenly again, remembered the appearance of the two, and then went back to report. After the fight, Qi Changjai and Guyao didn't care about eating or drinking, so they quickly withdrew. This time they sent a late-stage cultivator. I don't know what kind of master they will send next time. There is no reason to wait for others to besiege, of course. It is to move positions immediately. The monk did not recite the scriptures to them this time, and walked together very cooperatively. As for the guy Bai Qing, Guyao continued to bundle them into a ball and threw them in the corner of the aircraft. The movement of the Bai family's trip is not small, so some monks are adorned in the back in order to watch the fun, so they are fortunate to see this battle from the beginning to the end. Even experienced monks like monks are a little dumbfounded, not to mention they are. After the two parties had withdrawn, they came out one by one, and there was a lot of discussion for a while. Where are these two virtual cultivators who came out of nowhere? They were able to leapfrog challenges and beat their opponents without the strength to fight back. It's no wonder that you dare to pick the Bai family. It seems that they have the confidence to come here specifically for the Bai family. The Bai family's Bai Qing usually shows off his strength. I didn't expect that the one who was beaten to the point of screaming and wailing was beaten by a cultivator in the early stage of cultivation, so Bai Qing can only bully others with the power of the Bai family. What did the cultivator mean? The Bai family is not good for the blood of the direct line? Did the Bai family do something shameful by themselves, so others came to fight for the direct line? As soon as these words came out, many people met face to face. Although the Bai family said that the bloodline of the direct line was poor, but thinking about the fate of the direct line is too bad, and now only the last bloodline has died, this one will not survive long. The direct line has since broken its roots. In fact, thinking about it carefully, it is indeed a bit strange. Why does the direct line always have an accident, and only one remains dead, and the children of the collateral line are all majestic outside all day long. Some things really can't stand to think deeply, and when I think about it, I feel creepy. If it's really like what the cultivator said, this bloodline is too miserable. If that's the case, wouldn't the collateral line be afraid that the demon cultivator would get news and come out to retaliate against them? Bai Qing fell into the hands of the enemy, and when the news came back, the inside of the Bai family exploded first. I thought it was just two small cultivators, and dispatching so many people to arrest them already made many children of the Bai family laugh. Just because he thought it was a foolproof action, Bai Qing didn't cover up when he led the people out. This is good. The news has spread back to Bai's house, and it has already spread outside, especially if Guyao released it. Those cultivators clearly he won't talk loudly on the surface, but in private no one is talking about it, and there are even forces behind it. The Bai family has always been used to being arrogant, and I don't know how to restrain it. Because of the fact that the demon cultivator is the backing, other forces can only grit their teeth and endure it for a while, but now they have seized the handle. Whether it is true or false, spread the news first. Come on, if it's not real, it has to be made real. Therefore, all kinds of news about the Bai family are rampant, which makes the situation facing Guyao and the others more severe. Although Guyao said those words at first, it was intentional. He wanted to create some trouble for the Bai family, so that they would not have many people to deal with them, so that they could deliver the letter smoothly. Can't get this far. But the results exceeded his expectations. Once they showed up, people from the Bai family would come immediately, and there were even monks who wanted to take their heads to the Bai family to invite rewards and make a fortune to intercept them. It is worth 100 top-quality spirit stones, which is a very large fortune for ordinary monks. Guyao and the others had a hard time, and Bai Qing who fell into their hands was also having a hard time. If those who intercepted them ignored Bai Qing's life and death, how could Guyao and Qi Changjai take it seriously? Guyao and the others were tortured so much that life was worse than death, but he himself first enjoyed the taste of life being worse than death. Qi Changjai slipped Bai Qing, still tied into a ball. The two of them touched the outside of a ore vein, carefully searched for the scene ahead, squinted their eyes and said, "Is this a spiritual stone or vein of the Bai family you said? Or a bonanza?" Bai Qing, who was unable to use his spiritual power to heal his wounds, had no choice but to bow his head. "Yes, it is a bonanza, but it has not been reported yet, so the strength of the monks here is not very strong." This way, Bai Qing not only has to be blocked by others, but also has to be taken out of his mouth by Guyao and the others. The Bai family is so rude, of course, they will also grab something from the Bai family along the way. Bai Qing couldn't be honest, otherwise he would be Guyao's old fist. It is not possible to enter the city, and the Bai family's businesses are not easy to make up their minds, so these mineral veins outside the city have become the primary target of Guyao and his team, especially the spirit stone veins. The inside of the Bai family is also a messy place. Everyone wants to tear a piece of fat from the Bai family. What Bai Qing said has not been reported. In fact, it is deliberately concealed, wanting to gain more benefits from this spirit stone mine. Take it as your own, and now, let them be cheaper first. The monk walked beside Guyao and the others, still knocking on the wooden fish, turning a blind eye to the actions of Guyao and the others. Bai Qing didn't think that the spiritual stone would be clear after listening to it, but instead he was upset. In his eyes, the monk looked ordinary, and his cultivation was not very good. He didn't know why Guyao and Qi Changjai took such a cumbersome monk, at this time, heard the sound of the wooden fish again, and glared at him impatiently. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 430. Guyao and Qi Changjai swept around with their divine senses, and they didn't let go of a single mine. They found that Bai Qing was quite honest. The cultivators here were only capable of refining phantoms. There are also demon cultivators who specialize in mining for a living. These demon cultivators have little combat power, but are particularly good at drilling holes. After carefully searching Guyao, they also felt relieved and looked back at the monk. Master wants to go in with us. The monk sat cross-legged on the spot, lowered his head and proclaimed the Buddha's name to the two of them. Well, Guyao and Chi Changjai understood that the master was unwilling to drill the mine with them, so they said, "Then master, help us take a look at the hostages, we will go and return quickly." "Okay." This time, the monk replied very simply, with a bright smile. Guyao rolled his eyes secretly, and went to deal with the imaginary cultivator in charge first. Before the other party could react, he was trapped in the formed sword domain by Chi Changjai, and passed out after a sap. Guyao rushed up and threw his bundles aside to ensure that nothing bad happened on the way. At the same time, he took away the storage ring containing the spirit stones on his body. It contained the harvest of the mineral veins during this period of time. After a rough scan, there were tens of thousands of high-grade spirit stones, hundreds of thousands of middle-grade spirit stones, and a few more top-quality ones. Those who can dig out top-quality spirit stones are definitely rich minds. Guyao did not hesitate to take this wealth to himself, and said excitedly, "Go, let's go mining." Chi Changjai smiled and said, "Okay." The two went straight to the mine, and first threw a homemade smoke bomb inside. Those weak body refiners and demon cultivators couldn't hold back after a while and fell to the ground. Guyao patted Mou and started work. Well, Mou once again used its ability to bind people and gave birth to a piece of kelp, drilled into the mines, dragged out all the people who were mining inside, and threw them outside into a mountain of people. Bai Qing, who saw the scene outside, couldn't hold back his mouth and fell to the ground. After throwing all the people out, Zizai and Mou started a competition inside to see who could dig the most. These two small skills are very big. One comes with a black flame, and the black flames fall on the stone wall of the cave to burn. In the end, only the intact spiritual stone falls down, and it will stay below. The black cat buried in it. One is attached to tentacles. 10 or 100 is not enough, then thousands of tentacles will work together. When they exert force together, the whole mine will shake, and the gravel will fall down with a rustling. Guyao can't. Don't remind them to be careful, don't collapse the mine and bury yourself in it. After seeing them, Guyao and Chi Changjai didn't care about them anymore. Anyway, they all have storage rings in their hands. After digging out the spirit stones, they will put them away by themselves. Anyway, he usually takes spirit stones out of his pocket for them to chew on. These two little ones are big households who eat spirit stones. Now they can earn some food for themselves. The two chose a mine road far away from them. One used the sword energy for precise point operations, and the other used wood spells to spawn dozens of vines for mining. This was the inspiration from Mou, but it was not like those miners use tools to dig bit by bit. Later, I followed the cubs to learn, dividing the lotus fire into small flames and falling on the stone wall to burn. Under its excellent control, the spirit stone will never be burned by mistake. Even if it is accidentally burned, it doesn't matter. Those spiritual energy will be absorbed by the lotus heart fire, which is not a waste. As soon as the lotus heart fire came out, the monk who knocked on the wooden fish outside sensed it. No, or he knew the existence of the lotus heart fire when he first saw Guyao. The monk smiled extremely beautifully. The two big and two are really fighting. Bai Qing, however, looked at the monk with the same eyes as a fool. He didn't dig for the spiritual stone. When the two guys swallowed the spiritual stone, he secretly tried to run away and leave him alone on it, didn't he? Did you give him a chance? Bai Qing stood behind the monk, thinking that the monk was a fool, glared at him and began to move out quietly, but he didn't realize that the more he moved out, the heavier the sound of the wooden fish fell on his heart, until he spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. Bai Qing looked up at the monk's back with lingering fear, and found that the monk was still maintaining that posture, knocking on the wooden fish as usual. A mouthful of blood spit out. Wow! You! Bai Qing was so angry that he wanted to scold people. He was a fool for his feelings. The monk really didn't have any skills. Those two shrewd guys dared to keep him outside. Bai Qing was so angry that he moved back. The sound of the wooden fish was still the same, but he no longer felt the uncomfortable feeling before. Now he can finally be sure that it was the monk who had badly done him, which made him hurt even more. He moved to the monk, and Bai Qing said angrily, "What happened to you, monk? Are you bought by those two guys? How many spirit stones they give out? I give double, no, 10 times as many spirit stones, please let me go." "Hey, you are stupid, can you give me some reaction? Do you know what will happen if you offend the Bai family? Not only the monk yourself, but also the temple and sect behind you can't keep it. You don't want to inquire about the Bai family. What is the status of home in Dongzhou?" "Monk." Bai Qing was about to finish his mouth, but the monk was still knocking on the wooden fish with his eyes lowered, without even a change in his expression, making Bai Qing so angry that he wanted to kick the wooden fish in front of him, but he just wanted to make a move and kept hanging down. The monk with his eyes suddenly raised his eyes and looked over. At that moment, Bai Qing seemed to have fallen into an endless dark hell. It was only at this moment that those eyes drooped down again. Bai Qing came back to his senses from the endless dark hell. There was still horror in his eyes. He looked at the monk as if he had not done anything. He suspected that his previous eyes were. It wasn't his own hallucination, but even if he persuaded himself like this, Bai Qing didn't dare to move anymore. Maybe next time, he will be completely trapped in the dark and will never return to reality. Guyao and Qi Changjai were very happy to mine, but they both knew that they couldn't dig the two small ones, not to mention that the two small ones were competing with each other, and they were going crazy. The mine had already been broadcast once. Fortunately, they are all very capable, and they can't climb out if they don't really bury themselves in it. The mid-grade spirit stones Guyao are a bit distasteful, high-grade spirit stones can be used, and the more top-grade spirit stones, the better, but even in the bonanza, the number of top-grade spirit stones is limited. After digging tired and resting for a while, the two knew the current situation, and the people of the Bai family would catch up at some point, so they were not completely relaxed about the outside world. While nibbling on a spiritual fruit, Guyao's movements paused, nibbled off the spiritual fruit in 3 or 2 strokes, and called the cub Mou to finish work. Someone came. Zai and Mou turned around and ran towards Guyao and the others. The mine tunnel collapsed behind them, making a rumbling sound. When such a big news spread to the outside, Bai Qing's face was as black as ink, and blood was dripping in his heart. He knew that the two pet beasts around Guyao were powerful. This mineral vein could not withstand their digging together. No matter how many spirit stones are taken, the most important thing is that after this catastrophe, the real situation of this mineral vein will be exposed to the family. Those family children who are staring at him will probably rush to catch him and bite him hard. This is not a gift. Is it a ready-made handle for the door? Bai Qing was very desperate, not knowing whether someone should show up to save him, or continue to be a hostage. But at this moment, several rainbow lights escaped from the horizon, and Bai Qing became excited. No matter what, he must save his own life first. The clansmen only lost some money when they seized the handle, but if he was tortured by those two again, he didn't know if he could save his life. "I'm here, I'm Bai Qing," Bai Qing shouted loudly into the air. Those rainbow lights really came here, and they stopped right above them, and the head of the person was hair and beard, quite immortal. "It's me, Bai Qing, save me quickly, they are in the mine. The third elder is a fit cultivator. No matter how strong the two are, they can leapfrog the challenge, and can they still beat the fit cultivator?" Bai Ching couldn't wait to see the third elder clean up those two bastards. You bastard, look at how much trouble you have caused the family. Wait for this elder to clean up the thieves first and then ask the guilt. What a courage. Take your life. The third elder Bai saw the two monks in the mine at a glance. Although the Bai family had taken measures during this period, they still could not control the unfavorable remarks circulated by those monks in private. The third elder saw them at the moment. Want to slap to death. Thinking like this, he did this, and a giant palm suddenly appeared in the air, but it was not comparable to the giant palm condensed by the spirit transformation cultivator, and it pressed down with an unrivaled momentum. Bai Ching's face flushed with excitement. He seemed to see the scene where the two were crushed into patties. The monk sitting on the side was ignored by everyone again. Although he was still knocking on the wooden fish, the sound of the wooden fish was a little louder at this time, like a hurricane. A purple brontosaurus drilled out below, carrying the two of them and blasting out a path. Crack. Boom. The land was really cracked, the huge mine was flattened by Julie, and the dust and smoke all over the sky blocked the sight, but the dazzling purple thunder dragon was so clearly visible, it rushed towards the sky, and then whistled towards it. Tie down. The giant palm disintegrated in the air while flattening the mine. The sound of the wooden fish seemed to hit the keynote of the giant palm, offsetting the power of the giant palm in a way that ordinary people could not understand. Looks quite anticlimactic.